In this video help, we're on the trail location screen, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to the trail history screen for a description of its usage. So let's click on that trail history. On the trail history screen, what we want to do is we want to take the trail that we're going to be visiting or using on the application, and we're going to take some information about that trail and manage it. In this grid, you have a slider where you can actually slide along the screen and see the information for the fields that are included in this grid. Now, in the grid, there's also a drop-down button that allows you to pick the kind of information that you're dealing with on that row. And in this case, there's trail notes, scheduling a trip, did the bike trail, did the hike trail, cancel the trip, bad weather, or repeat the trail. Now this can be for each additional row that you add. So you can have say for example, a scheduled trip, and then the next line you can add would be for the actual trip that you went on. The first one might have just the location and the date and time, and then the start trail time of when you expect to start. The next one, like for example on the scheduled trip, you can see it just has the date. If I wanted to add the start time, I would go ahead and highlight the row and then go ahead and double click and add the information I want to put in there. In this case, let's say this is going to be a 9 o'clock a.m. start. Okay, with the 9 a.m. start, we've just saved that information in that field by typing and then removing the cursor from the field. You'll see that it stays in the field. If you want to add information along here, for example, this is the scheduled start. If you wanted to add a new row, you don't even have to click anywhere. Just say click add new row, and a new row would be added in there. And then you could say did bike trail, double click, and then add the information for the bike trail, the date of the scheduled date you're going to be there, the departure time, the start on trail time, the end time. And this gives you an idea of the elapsed time it takes to do the trail on the bike. If it were a hiking trail, you would do the same thing for the elapsed time. If you belong to a group of individuals that are going out on a trip, and in this case, in our local area, we have a thing called the Westerners. And if you belong to the Westerners, there's a group called the Mustangs. And the Mustangs is a group of people that really hike in earnest, and they move through the trail very quickly. So depending on what group it was, you can tell basically what the lapse time was. If a Mustang was doing it, maybe amblers who just kind of amble along the trail as a different group may take 45 minutes or an hour longer to get the same thing done. So as you're looking across the trail information, you can see that the type of weather that you have was cool, clear, high of 49 Fahrenheit. And you can just type that in by editing it. You can put anything you need in there. Who is leading the group? In this case, it was Jim Ross. And this particular field is equipment notes. If you're required or you need to take specific things, this is a reminder that, for example, maybe you need hiking poles, extra water, bring lunch because of the length of the trip, and any other things like a backpack or anything that you might want to call out that you need to go on this trip. And then you can see in later date what you actually used to do that trail. So if somebody on another group wants to hike on that same trail, you can provide them with information that will explain that particular trail and what was required in order to take the trail. If it's a combination bike and hike trail, you may want to identify that it is a bike and hike trail so that people will know that they will have traffic on the trail from bikers. And the same thing for hikers. If bikers want to view that this is a hiking trail as well as a biking trail. And here's an odd thing. Maybe it's a horse trail as well, where horses are actually on the trail. So if you're a biker, you want to be aware that when you come around a corner, you might have to be cautious. If it's a blind corner, to see a horse standing right in front of you or coming up the trail. Or you're going down the trail and ram into them in the back. So these are the kind of things that are important that you want to take. The whole concept behind managing the trail history is to give information that will support follow-on information about the trail and also advise other people when they're going on that trail what they may expect. If you have any questions, as usual, you can contact me either on Skype or using the support site to ask questions. Thank you.